But right now, let me close by discussing what I consider the most important responsibility facing the new governor. He must be the chief economic development official for Mississippi. Government doesn't create jobs, but government establishes a business climate, a tax system, workforce development support, logistical and other infrastructure, and a lot of other things that lead to jobs being created by the private sector. We need some government employees to provide these functions we've talked about, and some others. But private sector jobs drive prosperity. Government has no money to hire anybody except for the money it takes from you, the people, and the businesses that belong to our people. Bigger government leads to a smaller private sector and fewer private sector jobs. And it is private sector jobs on which our economy rests and on which our future depends. Last month, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, Mississippi had about 2% fewer people working than at our peak. Yet per capita income was far higher. Indeed, in the last 7 years, per capita income for Mississippians increased by 30.3%, or about 4.25% a year. That increase ranks our state 15th in the United States. Incomes will continue to go up this year in Mississippi despite the national recession. Why? One reason that we have succeeded at our main goal for the last 7.5 years, and that is to replace lower skill, lower paying jobs with higher skill, higher tech, higher paying jobs, and that's obviously has succeeded. You know, for decades, businesses came to Mississippi looking for strong backs and low wages. Now they come to Mississippi looking for strong minds and are willing to pay for them. An example occurred just yesterday. General Electric Aviation announced it would build a new facility near Ellisville. Its 250 employees will do advanced manufacturing with advanced materials, composite jet engine components. It's strongly supported by our research universities and by our community colleges. And I vividly remember the news conference held in 2007 when GE Aviation announced they were going to build their first plant in Mississippi. The vice chairman of the board of General Electric, one of the biggest manufacturing companies in the world, said GE would build a plant in North Mississippi and, quote, "This is the most sophisticated manufacturing General Electric does anywhere in the world," he said, and he chose to do it in Batesville, Mississippi. Now their experience in Batesville is so good, they like our workforce so much, they like their relationships with Ole Miss and State, and particularly the University of Southern Mississippi's Polymer Institute, that they're building another plant in Mississippi. That is the news story of Mississippi's economy. Toyota chose Mississippi in 2007. It was the most sought-after economic development project in the United States. And this fall, they will roll off the first Corolla from their new plant at Blue Springs, which will employ 2,000. At the same time, 6 of their suppliers will be fully operational, employing another 2,000 in our state. And it will grow from there. Nissan, now expanding again in Canton, got us into the southern automotive manufacturing zone. And auto manufacturing has become a huge part of our present economy and of our state's future. Likewise with aerospace. With not only GE Aviation, but EADS American Eurocopter and Raytheon, Aurora and Stark Aviation, Rolls-Royce, Northrop Grumman, and of course Stennis Space Center with Lockheed Martin and all that goes with it. Aerospace has become a huge factor in the growth of Mississippi's advanced manufacturing with advanced materials. The last big manufacturing resources piece of the economic plan in Mississippi is energy. The Fraser Institute in Canada earlier this month named Mississippi the #1 jurisdiction in the world to do energy projects. And we have seen billions upon billions of energy capital investments flow into Mississippi these last several years, including Mississippi Power's $2.5 billion electricity generating plant over in Kemper County. The next governor must and can build on this. Our post-Katrina momentum and the response of Mississippi, and more important, Mississippians, in the wake of Katrina's devastation, did more to improve Mississippi's image, including with job creators, than anything that has happened in my lifetime. It has made people say, we want to look at Mississippi. Well, we lost some of that momentum because of the national recession, but we've still got a lot going for us if we'll just have the right attitude. That's the can-do attitude. In the last year, our deal flow has sped up, and even though the recovery Wall Street has enjoyed hadn't made it to Main Street, I'm convinced Mississippi can be a leader of the country out of the Great Recession. To do so, we have to believe in ourselves. To do so, we have to believe in ourselves. The first year I stood here as a candidate for governor, I said Mississippi is the most underestimated state in the United States, and that Mississippians the most underestimated people. But I said the real problem is when it is we who underestimate ourselves. We should have proven to ourselves in these 7.5 years, and particularly in the wake of Katrina, that Mississippians are tough, resilient, self-reliant people who know how to get things done and who are a huge attraction to industries all over the world. If we believe in ourselves, we can keep going and going higher and higher. When this big Canadian think tank ranks us #1, it needs to remind us, we can be first. We can have the #1 container port on the Gulf of Mexico through our plan for the state port at Gulfport. We can continue to build world-class automotive and aerospace industries in Mississippi. We can be the shipbuilding leader, the composite leader, the steel products leader, the leader in distribution, in agriculture, and in every other way, if we will just believe in ourselves. We can get to the top of the stack. We have proven to the rest of the world what we could do. Now, let's prove it to ourselves. Let's do it for our children and grandchildren's future, a bright future for Mississippi. Thank you.